having a very fair idea what you want to do with your life, you want to go to school. There'll be times in your life when you pray and pray and pray. The only thing that echoes back at you is the silence in the recesses of your mind. And I always use myself as an example. When as young as 12 years old, I was so in love with the idea of marriage, your reality, no matter how bad, no matter how painful, accept the reality. Hi, good morning and welcome to today's personal development class. We are still reviewing the book The Alchemist and learning the beautiful nuggets that this all-time classic has to offer. Today we start from page 205 and there's a beautiful passage there for us. He looked around at the empty plaza again, feeling less desperate than before. This wasn't a strange place. It was a new one. He looked around at the empty plaza again, feeling less desperate than before. This was not a strange place. It was a new one. So initially the boy thought the plaza was a strange place. You know, he had come with the hope of going to find treasure. He had sold a sheep and he had met a thief in the port who had robbed him. And so he came there full of promise, full of hope, full of excitement, and then he gets robbed. And so at one point he was standing in the middle of the plaza, a strange place. He didn't know anybody, he didn't have any money, and fear gripped his heart. But then after a bit of reflection, after he had come to the realization that the king was still with him, that God was still with him, guiding him, his perspective changed. And that was when he looked around at the plaza again. The same place that a few minutes ago thought was a strange and hostile place. He looked around again and he felt less desperate. And at this point, he realized that it was not a strange place. It was just a new place. What is an empty plaza? For the boy, this empty plaza was a frightening place. It was a lonely place. It was an unfamiliar place. It was a place where something terrible had happened to him. A place he came to look for treasure or to find how to get treasure, and suddenly the little treasure that he had at the start of the journey, somebody had robbed him and taken it away. And so sometimes your empty plaza is a place where something bad happens to you. Sometimes it is threatening, but only because we are looking at it that way. And that was how the boy was seeing the plaza until he reflected and came to terms with certain truths. And at that point, what happened? The plaza did not change. His geographical location did not change. The people in the plaza did not change. The only thing that changed was the boy's perspective, was the way the boy looked at the thing. And instead of seeing a strange place, he decided that, no, wait a minute, this is not strange. It is only a new place. Only a new place. And he realized that he is not lost. He is only in a place that is not familiar. He's not been there before. It doesn't mean he is lost. The place is not a dangerous place. It is only unfamiliar. But it is not necessarily dangerous. And he came to the understanding that instead of fear, he should embrace acceptance of his new reality. Instead of panicking, because yes, he's been robbed and suddenly the plans he has may never come to fruition. A lot of things have gone wrong. And there are a lot of reasons why you should panic when you are in your empty place. I've been there before, I've seen it, I've done it. But it's a better thing to do instead of panicking. Your empty plaza may be that place of isolation. So maybe you had a lot of friends, you thought you had friends, you thought you had family, and then something happens to you. Sometimes people have not left you, but maybe you move out of your country, go to a new place to start life over. And at that point, suddenly there's nobody around you. It doesn't mean you are alone. It just means that baby, you don't know anybody there. But in reality, you are not alone. So isolation can be an empty place, lack of direction. Sometimes we get to places in our lives where we have no idea what next to do. We may have tried everything in the book and it has not worked. There are times when you are totally clueless as to what your next move should be. That is an empty place. There are times when this empty place is silent, especially for those of us who are so spiritual and depend a lot on the voice of God. There'll be times in your life when you pray and pray and pray, you fast and fast and fast. And the only thing that echoes back at you is the silence in the recesses of your mind and heart. Nothing, it's a flat line, no signal. And you are at a loss as to where you should go. Your internal compass completely shuts down. That is an example of an empty place. There are times when this empty place is a period of waiting. There's something you are anticipating, there's something you are waiting for, there's a situation you are hoping would change. For example, you may be waiting to meet your life partner, or there's a school you've applied for, there's a job you are looking for, you started a new business, you are waiting to see what you have envisaged. This empty place also mirrors certain aspects of our lives. The time when a plan you have. So for all of us, I think most of us, we start life having a very fair idea what we want to do with our life. I want to go to school, I want to be a lawyer, I want to be a doctor, I want to be a fashion designer, and then by 30 I want to be married, and then by 35 I should have had 3 children, by 40 I should have built a house. I always use myself as an example. When as young as 12 years old, I was so in love with the idea of marriage and being a wife that as young, I wasn't a pastor's daughter. I didn't grow up in church until I was in my teens before I started going to church. But even as young as 11, 12, I used to pray to God about my marriage. And I used to tell God how I wanted my marriage to be, all that. The things I wanted to do with my husband and my children and my in-laws. And I had it all figured out in my head. Marriage was a big part of my life. And then one fine day, I woke up to the realization that I had married into hell. And everything I ever planned, my life was centered around my marriage. So an empty place can be that place where something you had figured out that this is going to work. Suddenly you realize that it's a house of cards and it comes crumbling down. Sometimes this empty place for you can be people leaving you, people disappear on you. Somebody you thought was your everything, your best friend or your mom, it can even be a sibling, people you depended on so much. They just walk out of your life. And sometimes you will not even get the courtesy. You need to let desperation fade. It has to disappear. The first thing is that you have to make sure that your fear is quietened or eliminated, because it is fear that feeds desperation. You have to make sure that whatever you fear stops controlling your mind. That is the only way you stop desperation from setting in. Fear should never take root. It should never take hold of your mind. The next thing, like the boy did in the passage we read, is that you make sure that you change your perspective. Your perspective is the way you are looking. Make sure you change. And the last thing that you do is that you start to accept your reality. A lot of us get stuck in desperation because we do not accept our reality. We will pretend that what is happening is not happening. The earlier you accept your reality, no matter how bad, no matter how painful, no matter how difficult, how devastating it is, accept the reality. The boy decided that he was not going to see the empty plaza as a strange place anymore, but rather a new place. This kind of mental shift, when we decide that we are not going to see the place as a dangerous, menacing, hopeless situation, but rather something that is just new or unfamiliar, it restores our courage. It gives us the confidence that then I can do something about it. It gives you the opportunity to want to look around, to want to dream again, to want to readjust your expectations, to want to go back to the drawing board and write new dreams. When you change your perspective, when you decide that it's only a new place, not a strange place, fear leaves. And at that point, you become open to learning. What can I learn from this situation? In this new place, what can I do? How can I change my circumstances? How do I bring myself back? How do I change the trajectory of my life? How do I rewrite my story? You are open to learning the moment you change your perspective. And then there is possibility for you to grow and to advance. Until we start looking at our empty plazas differently, we will remain stuck. The moment you start to look at it differently, to see it not as a place that is strange, but a place that is new, and to begin to see all the possibilities, all the hopes, and the fact that there's a chance to start over. And you see, the good thing is that the God we serve is a God who likes unfamiliar places. In Genesis 12:1, God said, "Go from your country to the land I will show you." Abraham had to leave his kindred and go to a new place, a strange place. God will move you to a strange place, to a new place, so that He can bring you into your new season. A lot of the time, the empty places where we find ourselves is because God is bringing us from one phase, transitioning us into another phase. It is only a port. Isaiah 43:19. See, I do a new thing. Before it springs forth, do you not see it? See, I am doing a new thing. Before it springs forth, do you not see that this wilderness, this new place, this strange place is the beginning of something new? And you need to understand that this strange places, this wilderness situation, this place where people leave you and all of that, they are not punishment. God is not punishing you. The universe is not punishing you. They are only a preparatory phase for your next level. They are only a preparatory phase, and you need to see it that way so that you don't let desperation swallow you up. What is at this place for you to learn? What is at that place for you to see? Sometimes we go through life, our eyes are open that we don't see. But when you get to that empty place, when you get to that new place, when you get into the wilderness, that is where God has your attention. And that is where God can get you to see the things that you would never have seen if you were in your comfort zone. There are some of you, the best things in your life, the best people who have become the most important people in your life, you met them in your wilderness, in your empty places. If you were in your place of comfort, you would never have seen them. I remember telling my husband some time ago that, look, I met you when you were in the wilderness. And maybe God made it that way because if you had been in your element, you would never have noticed a woman like me. God brings us to that empty place to get our attention, to get us to see in between the lines, to get us to see behind the veil, to get us to pay more attention, to get us to become more sensitive to Him and to His word. And until he brings us to the wilderness, some of us are too busy. Some of us are having fun. Some of us, we think our life is all figured out and there's nothing more to do. We've seen it all. The other interesting thing about the empty place is that God loves to meet people in empty places. When you are in that empty place, you meet God. When you are in that empty place, you meet people. One of the most growing up I ever had to do was in my wilderness, one of my wilderness moments. And in that place, one of the darkest phases of my life, it was that place where I did my most growing up. It was that place where I spent the most time with God. It was at that place where I learned to depend completely and totally on God. I know that if I had not gone through that particular wilderness, I would not have come this far in my journey in life and with God. So, in your wilderness, in your empty place, you meet God. You learn to depend on God. You learn to listen for His voice. You meet people. Like I said before, some of you, there are some people you never entertain if you're in your comfort zone. So God has to take you through your wilderness so that you can meet those people. Baby, is too high. Those people will never catch your attention. So God has to bring you to the wilderness. Then you'll be able to catch the attention of, you'll be able to see that in society there are needy people. There are people who are divorced and are single mothers. There are people who are divorced and are single fathers and have not a clue how to continue their life. You need to get to that place to meet these kinds of people so that you understand what it feels like to have nothing. To understand what it feels like when society looks at you and frowns at you. You need to come to that place. Because where God is taking you, He needs you to understand what it means when everybody leaves you. He needs you to understand that. You are going to pastor millions of people. How can God trust you with millions of precious souls if you have no idea the challenges they are going through? God needs to take you through that first. Then He places the blessing in your hands. In your empty place, in your wilderness, you meet God, you meet people, you learn. God met Hagar in the desert, an empty place. God met Moses in Midian. It was an empty place. God met Elijah in the wilderness. It was an empty place. Countless number of times Jesus was in lonely places. Empty places are meeting places. Page 212. We are still on the Alchemist. This passage has page 212 and page 214 all combined. There must be a language that doesn't depend on words, the boy thought. If I can learn to understand this language without words, I can learn to understand the world. There must be a language that doesn't depend on words, the boy thought. If I can learn to understand this language without words, I can learn to understand the world. How did this passage come about? After the boy had decided that the plaza was not a strange place, it was just an empty place, a new place, he decided that he was going to help a candy seller to erect his shop or stall. He helped the man. When he finished, the man did his first set of candy for the day, and then he dashed the boy a candy. And as the boy was eating it and going away, he realized that although one of them was speaking Arabic and one of them was speaking Spanish, they seemed to have understood each other perfectly. They erected the stall, they finished the first candy. The man gave him the first candy for the day. And that was when the boy came to this realization that there must be a language that does not depend on words. If I can learn to understand this language without words, I can learn to understand the world. And he realized that this language without words, initially he was speaking that language with his sheep because he couldn't speak their language, they couldn't speak his language, but he understood his sheep and they also understood him. The Bible says that my sheep know my voice, they hear me. And he realized that that language that does not depend on words can also be between people. He's speaking Spanish, the candy maker is speaking Arabic, but they work beautifully together. Some things are understood even without words being said. The boy realized that you can share feelings without talking. You can feel trust even without explanation. Things, emotions like fear, love, kindness, danger, intention, you can sense it. How many times have you sensed that somebody does not like you, although they've never spoken to you and told you, I don't like you? Right? There are people who gossip about us. It's a language that doesn't depend on words. We just know it. When this person doesn't like me, you know it. Understanding can come through actions. Sometimes just the presence of somebody tells you what they mean to you. Intuition. Intuition is a language. It does not use words. Not everything that is important in life needs words. So some of us, we think that everything depends on words. No, you talk and talk and talk and talk and talk, but you don't do anything. Not everything. Intuition is so important. Last week, I went to Winneba with two of my staff. And when I was going, I have three ladies working at Winneba. Two of them I knew had children. So I packed children's books for these two ladies. When we got there, I gave it to them. The third lady, the voice told me that although the third lady does not have children, you brought books for the other two. So you have to give her something as well. So I decided in my heart that I'll give her money and ask her to go and buy whatever she wanted with it. So when we are about leaving, then I called her and I said, oh, come. I know you don't have children. So I was in the process of taking my purse to give her money. Then she said, I have children. I have two children. I was like, what? I didn't have any idea. I thought you had no children. That is why I did not bring you some of the books. But now that I know, please, next time when I'm coming, I'll bring books for your children. You see, she didn't have to say anything to me. But my intuition told me that I needed to do something for her as well. This is a language that did not depend on words. My spirit man told me. And so when we were coming back, I was telling the gentleman in the car that this is what happened. And I said that you'll be a very miserable person if you are somebody who does not have intuition or is not in touch with your intuition. Because your intuition will tell you things that nobody knows, but it is true. And if you knew it, it will make your life better. Human beings, we communicate in different ways. The tone of our voice, even now that I'm communicating with you, there are times I'll raise my voice, that my facial expression, my hand gestures, my mannerisms, all of these are ways of communicating. So it's not just the words coming out of my mouth, how I articulate them, everything about the way I'm animating is communication to you, right? Sometimes even silence is a communication. There are some things you would explain, you go explain tire, people will not understand you. There's one of my favorite songs, you say it best when you say nothing at all. I'm sure those of you like Onan Keaton, you know. You say it best when you say nothing at all. Go and listen to that song. sometimes silent. How consistent are you? That tells people a lot about who you are. It communicates so much more than your words could ever communicate. Consistency. Do you say and do what you say? How often do you do what you say? Do you show up? Are you there when your wife needs you? Are you there when your husband needs you? Are you true to your promise? Consistency is a language. Behavior, the way we behave. We tell people we love them, we tell them we care for them, but the way we treat them is very, very, very different from what we tell them. Love is an action word. And I don't need you to tell me you love me. I need to see how you behave. I need to see how you treat me. I need to see how you protect me. I need to see how you prioritize me. That tells me you love me. It does not have to come from your mouth. There are people I know love me. They've never told me they love me, but I know they love me. I know they have my back because I know anytime I need them, they are there for me. And I know that sometimes I don't even have to open my mouth and tell them what I need. They anticipate my needs and they do it even before I ask. Just like God, Nathaniel Bassey sang and said that even before I prayed, Jehovah Nissi answered me. When people love you, you don't even need to tell them what you need from them. They do it for you. They give it to you. Presence is a language. When people tell you, I'll never leave you or forsake you, that's what the Bible says. God says that my presence will be with you. It is a language. It is security. It is assurance. It is something to stand on. I used to have a friend. She's in a very good relationship. Her husband is a backbone. And when she walks, her walking is different. And anytime I related with, even the way she talks was different. It was because she knew she had somebody unshakable behind her. I know people. I have personally had relationships with people who knew, who understood me so well, who loved me so deeply, that they just have to take a look at me and know that, Rosie, something on your mind. They can see me smile and look through the smile and see the pain in my eyes. I can walk into a room and this person would say that, you haven't slept tonight. What kept you up? That is a language that does not depend on words. Sometimes a hug, it says so much more than words could ever say. There was a time in my life I was going through divorce. And this particular day I went to court. It was the saddest day in that period of my life. And I sat in court and I watched as 13 precious years of my life was flushed down the toilet. 13 years of love, of pain and tears and sweat flushed down the drain as if it never happened. No thank you, no I'm sorry, no acknowledgement, nothing. The only thing I had to account with for those 13 years were 3 children and a heart full of pain. And the sadness and the sorrow was so much that I couldn't even wait to leave the courtroom. My eyes welled up in tears. And as I walked from the courtroom to the car park, people were watching me and staring, and what there I didn't care. The pain was so palpable that I did not give a damn what anybody thought. And when I sat in my car, I picked up my phone and I called Tina. Tina was my best friend, my backbone at the time. When we were kids, there were 2 kinds of mothers. There were those mothers who would talk a lot and give you warning. One giant, And there were those mothers who would look at you with some idea. There are some looks that will say more than any warning would ever say. Hmm. There are some people who will not make promises to you, but their loyalty to you goes beyond any promise anybody has ever made to you. Check your life. There are some people in your life, they are not your lovers, they are not your family members. You've never sat down with them, even on the same table, to talk to them. Some of you, there are some people you've never even asked them, how are you? You don't know whether they are married or not. You don't know whether they have children or not. You have no idea what their life is about. But they are so loyal to you, they'll fight for you with their blood and their life. The limitation of words as a language, a form of language, is that your words can be misunderstood. Your words can be misunderstood. You can say one thing, somebody will pick exactly what you have said and misinterpret it completely. And when you have a malicious spouse or malicious friend or colleague, somebody who wants to do you harm, they can pick your words and twist it. That is why sometimes it is better not to say anything. Yes, you have said it too, but the context in which you said it, the tone with which you said it, the intention behind the words, and what the person is explaining it to be are two very totally different things. Somebody very close to me has done that to me this week. You will say something and they'll twist it to make you look bad. It can be manipulated. Words can hide true intention. Somebody is looking at you in the face, smiling with you and telling you they love you. But behind your back, they are selling your secrets to your enemies. They are stealing from you. They are planning on how they can rob you. They are looking you in the face, smiling, and they are telling you. Sometimes they are telling other people how much they love Bernard. They are telling other people, but when you come and see them at home, the things they are taking their spouse through, you'll be shocked. You will be shocked. People will say one thing but mean a completely different thing. They will say one thing and do something completely different. So at this point, Santiago the shepherd begins to realize that truth, nokre, it is not spoken, it is felt with the heart. Yesterday, I was having a conversation with somebody and I took him through a very short checklist. And I told him that you know in your heart the truth. You don't need to go any further. You know in your heart which one of us is speaking the truth. The truth that must have to be spoken. This language without words that the boy or the book is encouraging us to learn, it is something you experience. It is something you grow. You learn it by paying attention. If you pay attention, there are things people will miss that you will never miss. Paying attention. It is Benny's favorite phrase. He always tells his younger sister, pay attention. Learn to pay attention in this life. Some of us, we are going through life, we are not paying attention to anything. We are just walking through life. A couple of weeks ago, I was home. Usually on weekends, I don't come to the office. I was home. And then I was called that there was a problem that demanded that I came here. So I came to work. And I was walking from one building to the other building, my office in the other building. As I was climbing the stairs, I noticed that there was a young man at the entrance with a woman sitting in the wheelchair. There was something about them. And a voice spoke to me, intuition, go and help that man. So I got closer and I put my hand on the lady's shoulder. It was obvious to me that the lady was paralyzed. And I asked the young man, oh, no, and he showed me his paper. They're coming for a scan. They had been told how much it will cost. They will need contracts, so it's going to cost more than they thought. And so at the time I met him, he was waiting and calling people to see if he would get somebody to send him extra money so that they could pay for the test. So I looked at his paper and I said, oh, I don't think you need the contrast. So come with me, you only need to pay this much. Come. And I gave his paper to one of the front desks that I attended to. I'm like, oh, he doesn't need a contract. So the money he has is enough. So just process it. Let's take him to the CT scanner. And I stood by the young lady. The relative went to pay, finished everything. Then we wheeled the woman into the CT scan. What am I trying to say? This language of the world that does not depend on words. One of the ways to learn this language is to pay attention. Look around you. Look at people's body language. They are talking to you, but besides what they are saying, what are they not saying? Sometimes what people are not saying is more important than what they are telling you. So when you are talking to people, when you are dealing with people, listen to what they are not saying. It is more than what they are saying. Pay attention. Observe patterns. Observe patterns. This person, what is their trademark? What have they done consistently? Wayano once, Wayano twice, he's done it 3 times, he's done it 4 times. Look at the pattern. That tells you. He tells you he loves you, he tells you he's faithful, he tells you he's committed, but look at his pattern. You've caught him cheating 2 times, 3 times, 4 times. Whatever it is, you see the person do it more than once, more than twice. That is his pattern. That is the language you need to pay attention to. Beyond what he is telling you, what is his pattern? Listen with your heart. Listen with your heart. If you train your heart to always tell you what the truth is, there are people I speak to and I know when they are lying to me. I know when they are telling me the truth. I'm growing my heart. I've not arrived, but I'm growing my heart to that point where I know I can trust my heart completely. My heart has told me things about people that were unbelievable. And guess what? It turned out to be true. Listen to your heart. And if all of these things are lost on you in your quest to understand the language that does not depend on words, and if all of these things are lost on you, if all of these things are lost on you, the last thing, which is not difficult for anybody, is to just wait and see how things unfold. If you cannot pay attention, if you cannot observe patterns, if you cannot listen with your heart, wait and watch how things would unfold. Because the truth will never be hidden. With the passage of time, the true intent, the true purpose, the true motive, the truth of any kind of circumstances or situation will become evident to you. The language of the world that does not depend on words is the language of conscience, is the language of intuition, is the language of wisdom. It is the language. God speaks to us through inner conviction. Romans 8:16. The Spirit Himself testifies with our spirit. 1 John 3:18. Let us not love with words or speech, but with action and in truth. 1 John 4:1. Test the spirits. Test the spirits. The man, the woman, the girl, the boy who is telling you things, test that spirit. Are they consistent? What are their patterns? What are they doing? Is it consistent with what they say? And that is how